This is the College Football Connection Podcast with Alvin Reed, Bradford Bruns, and Marty Jenkins on 101 ESPN.
Minus just 90 or so days until week 0 arrives. And guys, I think the weather conditions outside, they're trying to tell us as much. Regardless, happy Memorial Day weekend, everybody. Bradford Bruns, so pleased to be rocking with you once more from our driver's seat in our Creve Coeur studio. It is the College Football Connection, a unique holiday edition at that, on the 101 ESPN YouTube channel, as well as 101 ESPN.com. For starters, if you're not exactly able to benefit from even that faint glimmer of sunlight out there, we understand it's been pretty hard by which to come in the loo as of late, right? At minimum, you're having a lot of fun and frivolity with friends and family members. We get it. These conditions perhaps more befitting what you would expect a few months from now in the fall at your favorite campus haunt or two. But I promise today, my biggest objective is not to deconstruct Iowa State, K-State in Dublin, or even Stanford, Hawaii, although I would go down that road. Those matchups still pretty alluring to your boy, but no. In this instance, the lead is none other than a big-time decision, a consensus arrangement that was reached just a couple of days ago, courtesy of those college football playoff power brokers, the powers that be, committee members giving us the 12-team arrangement or model that we can anticipate just a few months from now. This is not to be confused with whatever may be on the horizon, however many variables that could be in play for 2026, even though I think all of us know you get it out there in the audience, we're moving to 14 or 16. It's inevitable. That's for next winter, though, because now we understand that among the 12 teams that you will have going into next winter, the tail end of the 2025 season, which, as referenced, just mere months away, it's going to be a straight-up seeding model. So that means the top 4 teams will be those ranked in the top 4. Easy enough formula, right? At the end of the last set of college football playoff rankings, those are the squads, powerhouses or not, to be receiving the first-round byes as well. So you will not have an encore of last year. You will not have an encore of none of those teams that received the byes. That's right. Oregon, Georgia. How did it work out for those Blue Bloods? Or to be precise, Arizona State, Boise State. Nice stories, but all of those outfits succumbed in the very first round of CFP play. Instead, this time around, you are going to get the best 4 as determined by the governing body, and that means everybody, anybody and everybody is in play. It is not the top quartet of highest-ranked conference champions. And so what does that mean? Magically, not shockingly, a team such as Notre Dame, last season's runner-up to the Ohio State University in the national championship, now the Fighting Irish have an opportunity every season, as long as we're playing at least under these rules, to qualify for the top 4 because, again, it is open to anyone. Now, we should note as well that still out of the 12-team configuration, the 5 highest-ranked conference champions, okay, they will still be awarded berths in that 12-team constitution per se. But the top 4 seeded teams, once more, those will be the groups, those will be the schools getting those byes before more of the on-campus action commences the week thereafter. This is perfectly natural as far as I'm concerned on the progression end of things. You knew that it would be coming. It was just a matter of time. And in addition, still, the top 4 highest-ranked conference champions, they're getting a nice piece of that $8 million pie. That's right, still benefiting from that financial arrangement accordingly. We didn't get a lot of time to deconstruct as much later last week on 101 ESPN, so definitely thought this was more than a noteworthy development to pass along as we move along here on the College Football Connection on 101 ESPN, the YouTube channel, and 101ESPN.com. My name is Bradford Bruns, and yes, we are just a few months away from regular season action. Fall camps just a couple of months from now. And to that end, a lot of you probably wondering what exactly is to be made of the latest coaching development, the latest shakeup, in a manner of speaking, in Como. right? A couple of Fridays ago, it was announced that none other than Al Davis, the stalwart member of Eli Drinkwitz's staff since 2021, he joined as a defensive analyst and then proceeded to work his way up the chain of command, right? Working with the interior linemen and then shepherding the group finally at long last, the entire defensive line. Well, he announced that he is stepping away from the program, tendered his resignation due to what we have on social media. That's all on which we have to operate at the moment, personal, family-related reasons. And I do think this is pretty instrumental insofar as this is somebody who really was able to guide, I would contend, the biggest foundation for Corey Batoon's defense. Last season, prior to last year, you knew that you had Baker moving on to LSU. You were able to basically overcome that because Batoon came in and was exceedingly good at orchestrating the entire unit. But the defensive line, really the heartbeat of that group. And yes, I know that you have a lot of returning talent. You added a few weeks ago somebody in a transfer, a big-time one at that, a behemoth from the University of Ohio in Braylon Henderson. You're optimistic about what you're going to get from a healthy Smith and, of course, Zion Young making waves over the past year plus in terms of his development. But now with Johnny Walker Jr. gone, member of the Denver Broncos, with Christian Williams also a member of the Denver Broncos, and just a lot of pieces of depth and pure sheer production, to lose Al Davis as well. And this is to take nothing away from his replacement on staff in a David Blackwell. That individual has also been a defensive coordinator at Louisiana Tech previously, among other stops. It is still a blow as far as the continuity of your staff, as earlier in the offseason, obviously, you had to account for replacement at the second level of the defense, different line-backing coach as well. So we will see what transpires, if anything, as far as a little bit of a different approach for the D-line at D-Line Zoo, per se. Couple of more minutes with you here on the College Football Connection. Memorial Day weekend. Hope you're having a ball out there, really embedding yourself in all things sports related. We have some not necessarily bang up NHL and NBA conference finals action taking place at the moment, but we would be remiss if we didn't at least touch upon a couple of the recent recruiting related developments too, pertaining to MU. So, Keenan Harris, in case you're familiar with the prep scene around St. Louis, and why wouldn't you be? You have a ton of gridiron standouts on the high school scene around the Lou and even across the river from a few years ago as well. But in this instance, Keenan Harris, he's a two-way player. He is most known for his exploits at linebacker, also can position himself in the secondary for SLU High. He is a verbal commit now for the University of Missouri, and make no mistake about it, the Tigers over the past couple of weeks, actually, not coincidentally perhaps, since the departure of Al Davis, one of the defensive linemen, Anthony Kennedy, he bowed out after initially committing to MU. Another individual, DeMonte Timms as well, basically retracted that initial commitment. Now we understand these are still just verbal commits. A lot of things can change in the months ahead, but it is nice to know that the number 5 ranked player, according to many different publications in the St. Louis area, Missouri period, is going to be taking his services to Mizzou. So keep an eye on that name, on the production going into his senior season at SLU High. One Keenan Harris joining Sidwar, the quarterback from Pennsylvania, as the lone 2 recruits at present for Mizzou heading into the class of 2026. Mizzou and Florida down on that end of the spectrum, actually around the SEC. No other school has fewer than 5 verbal commitments as we sit here later in May, but we understand last year as well in 2024, hey, Missouri made hay after the month of June. As a matter of fact, that's when 11 of the 17 verbal commits for the class of 2025 actually became known. Hope you enjoy the rest of your holiday period, everybody, and thank you, as always, for listening to us, consuming us, whatever the medium may be. We are truly appreciative of you coming to us, regardless of the time of year, but especially when we are starting to build more of that momentum heading closer and closer to the fall. Your guy will be back with you relatively soon again as we check in advance of fall camp and what else could be coming to fruition on that recruiting scene. But for now, Bradford Bruns signing off. Enjoy. Talk to you very soon.
Thanks for listening to the College Football Connection podcast on 101 ESPN.